Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is fashion, travel, and fitness. And if you're watching our last show, we just zipped back from the UK, and you met three of our expert correspondents here at USA Global TV. And today we're welcoming our travel expert. Her name is SANDY.ADAMS, and she's a regular here. Let's bring her on. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Every time I see you, I think about beaches and sunshine and relaxation. So it's always good to have you on the show. And Diann will be joining us shortly.
Awesome. Awesome. So you've been doing well?
Yes, been doing well. Dreaming about a vacation. I keep saying it, right? It's been 2+ years of not going anywhere, but I want to get to the great state of Texas, and I want to get over to London because we've got a lot of fans from both of those places. And I just want to go out and meet people and say thank you. But I know there's a lot of other really cool places to go as well. And you're going to share some of the top places and some of the trends, and you're going to talk about cruising. But for people who are joining us for the first time, I want to spotlight you, Sandy. And if you can talk a little bit about the work that you do as a travel advisor and tell us more about cruise planners. It's not just for cruising.
Hi, everyone. I'm SANDY.ADAMS, and I'm a travel advisor. And I see my job as a memory maker. I'm about making memories for other people. I work with my clients, and we plan amazing trips, all to their specifications. I take care of everything, and all they have to do is pack, and off they go. I do both land and sea vacations. Land is very hot right now, and people want to go away to the beach and want to discover Europe and Asia and Australia. So there's all kinds of things that we can do. I love what I do because I get to know great people, and I enjoy helping them figure out where they want to go next, how they want to travel. I'm with them every step of the way. When a client calls me, they're talking to me, not a call center. And I'm the one that takes care of all the detailed planning for them. It's really a fun thing to do. And I love following people while they're traveling on Facebook or on Instagram and seeing all the great pictures and seeing them having an amazing time. It's just something I'm passionate about.
Well, that's great because you're excellent at it. Let's welcome Diann to the show. Hi, Diann.
Hi, it's great to see you guys.
Hi, Diann. How are you?
Great. I am ready for traveling. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Sandy, one of the things I just want to touch on, because I think it's really important, as we know, we can go to our telecommunication equipment, our technology equipment, whatever, computer, laptop, and we can go to different websites and we can book cheap trips, okay, which has some value. What are some of the things that people get when they work directly? You talked about it, but why should someone go and work with you as opposed to going online and doing something like that?
Well, first of all, I used to be one of those travelers that would go out on the internet and, I cobbled together a vacation, but I spent hours and hours doing that. And life is so busy. Do you really have hours and hours to plan that trip? So that's where I come in. I have access to lots of different suppliers, many of which are not available to the consumers on the internet. The other thing that I offer is that because Cruise Planners has been around for 27 years, They have a lot of connections in the industry, and we get lots of exclusive pricing and exclusive amenities. And those things are just not available to you on the internet. And I'll just give a quick example. Someone called me the other day, wanted to go on a cruise. She already has family members on that ship. And I was able to get that for her for $400 less than had she just gone and booked it online. The other advantage is that if you have a question, you're calling me. And, coming out of the pandemic, lots of people are traveling right now. And the wait times to speak to people at tour operators or with the cruise lines, if you're a consumer and you have a question, you're going to sit on the phone for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, just to get your questions answered. You can call me, send me an email, and I'm the one that, does the legwork. If I don't have the answer, I'm the one that finds the answer, and you can concentrate on the other important things in your life, be it your family, your friends, or your job.
Sandy, they are great points. Thank you for that.
Yes, definitely.
And I think we all know it. Anytime you have to contact someone, an 800 number, you have to call that anything. They try to force you to go to the internet because they don't have people to answer the phone. So knowing that you are a real person and that you answer the phone, you answer your emails, that's right there is enough reason to contact you.
And I'm fun to talk to.
Yes, you are fun to talk to. All right. What tips do you have for us? Where should we be going? What's going on?
Well, there's so much to talk about. I thought what I would do is just give a little update on where things are with cruising right now. The CDC last week, well, let me go back a little further. When the conditional sail order ended last month, most of the cruise lines voluntarily are participating in the voluntary sail order, which means that they're following the requirements that the CDC has put out for sailing. And so that started last month. For most travelers, it's been somewhat seamless. Last week, the CDC came out and they lowered the risk level from a risk level of 4 down to a risk level of 2 for cruising, which is huge. Some of the things that have happened in the last several weeks is as COVID cases have dropped dramatically, cruise lines are reducing their requirements for masking. On many of the lines, the only times you have to wear a mask is when you are in a crowded space, but generally walking around inside, that's no longer required. It was not required outside as it is. And then they also have been relooking at the pre-cruise testing requirements. If you are traveling outside the United States, it is still a requirement that you get a COVID test before you return to the States. But the cruise lines are looking at how they can better improve the experience for their passengers. So I've been getting updates on that for the last few weeks. On most cruise lines, the majority of their ships are now in the water. I expect that by summer, all the major cruise lines that we travel on, that come here to the U.S., most of them will have all their ships in the water and cruising, unless they're in for their annual maintenance. I just wanted to also talk a little bit about some survey results that I saw yesterday that I think would be interested to those that are watching. And this was a Royal Caribbean brand equity study. And their study is showing that there is favorable interest in cruising right now. and the number of people who are interested in taking a cruise is up slightly in comparison to where we were in 2019, which I think is great. And one in 5 people who are really interested in cruising are looking to purchase a cruise within the next month. I have been booking people on cruises into 2023. That prior to the pandemic was normally about an 18-month cycle. Now, most of the cruise lines have their itineraries out into 2024. So even if you're not quite ready and you either want to try a cruise or you want to go back to cruising, now is a great time to find the cruise that you're interested in and put a deposit down. Because as more people begin to travel, just like everything else, when there's higher demand, the prices will start rising. And there's still a lot of great spring sales that are going on right now.
A lot of great information there, Sandy. Thank you. Diane?
Yeah, I was wondering, that was fabulous to know about cruising. And I'm so happy that the statistics are showing people are wanting to go on cruises. That's so important. But also, if people are on the airlines and they leave the country, do they still have to have a COVID shot or test before they come back?
Yes, and I don't know of an expiration date yet on that. Mm-hmm. So regardless of what kind of travel you do outside of the country, to come back in the country, that COVID test is required. Also, the TSA requirement to wear a mask when flying has been extended into April. I want to say April 18th is the current date for that. So
do you have to have a COVID? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have to have a COVID test to get on a plane, even if you're flying in the United States, or no?
No.
Okay.
No. So yeah. So you are, pretty free to travel within the U.S. Without having that requirement. Which, unfortunately, cruising really took a hard hit at the beginning of the pandemic. Because we just weren't prepared to handle that situation. And it was really a disaster. But I will tell you that being on a cruise ship is the safest place that you can be right now. And I say that because nearly 100%, 95 to 100% on most cruise lines, the people are vaccinated. When you walk into a grocery store, or you get on an airplane, or you get, on a train or a bus in your town, you don't know what the vaccination status is of people. And, you're more at risk. The percentage of people on cruise lines that have come down with COVID, recently is around 1%. Whereas if you look at the positivity rate in every state in the union, the lowest was Alaska, and I think that was 9% back in January, in comparison to cruise ships, which are about 1%. So it's really a safe way to travel, and I think people shouldn't feel concerned about it. Cruise lines have always been required to have a much higher standard of sanitation and healthy protocols before the pandemic. And, since the pandemic, they've quadrupled the health and safety protocols that they use. And I have cruised 4 times since last June. And I will tell you, I felt safe every single time.
That's really
yeah, that's an important point to make.
Yeah. So, not to keep talking about it so much, but does that just apply to the mainland? But if you go to Hawaii and to come back to the mainland, do you have to be be
No,
tested?
you do not. No,
That's good, because that's still
correct.
leaving off the mainland. So
Correct. And if you go to Puerto Rico and if you go to the U.S. Virgin Islands, it's the same thing. Those are part of the
that's
United
great.
States.
The colonies, right?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, well, that's great news. So I have a silly question. So if you're on a train ride,
Mhm.
because trains are so fabulous, right? But
Absolutely.
a lot of the trains are cloth, and so they contain germs more. They have to spray those down, disinfect them and everything, right?
Yes. Yes. And they've implemented all those types of things. I had the opportunity to do this fabulous train ride last August on the Rocky Mountaineer. And um, they clean the train every night. On the Rocky Mountaineer, you're only on the train during the day. At that time, we were required to wear our masks while we were on the train, unless we were eating or drinking. And and that it made sense. And but it was a wonderful time. To our knowledge, nobody who we traveled with got sick. We did a continuation of that train tour through the national parks. We went to Arches, we went to Bryce, we went to Capitol Reef National Park, and we went to Zion. And so we traveled with a smaller group of people who had been on the Rocky Mountaineer with us. And we all got back. We spent a lot of time together in a little bus, and we all got back and we were all perfectly healthy. So it's amazing what, just being vaccinated and wearing a mask, will, protect you and allow you to have, a great time while you're traveling. I did want to mention that all of the main cruise lines are requiring vaccinations. And I expect that might be that way for the foreseeable future. There's even a couple of cruise lines that, have said, through the end of 2022, they're going to be requiring vaccinations.
Sandy, is it vaccinations and the boosters, like whatever, we're up to 3, I think?
So most are saying fully vaccinated and then recommending the booster.
Okay, well, that's good. Now, I might have a silly question for you. I love traveling so much. So for our listeners who just say, well, I'm just really interested in going to Glacier Park and I'll figure out everything else after that because, it's a park, right? What would you say to them? Like, there's so much more to see, right?
Well, there is absolutely more to see. And there's just really interesting ways to see it. And one of the interesting ways to visit out west is to take a train. Now, as I mentioned, I did the Rocky Mountaineer, which is a day and a half train ride. Another way to travel to the national parks is via Amtrak. And Amtrak puts together these amazing national park vacations. And when you're on a train, you get to see things that if you were just driving along, you wouldn't see. And you see things that even if you were hiking, you probably wouldn't see because it's just going through different areas. So combining rail and visiting the parks is a great way to see out west. And there's so many different ways to do that. And I'm here, or any travel advisor is available to help you put those things together.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. Excuse me. So what other tips do you have for the summer's coming? And people love to get away. I know it used to be people would go from here in the States over to Europe. I don't know if that's still the case.
So the number one tip I want to give is if you don't have a current passport, apply for it now. Don't wait until you book travel to apply for your passport. I will say that the passport processing has greatly improved from where it was a year ago. But I still have a couple clients right now that are on pins and needles because they've booked a trip and they're waiting on passports. Keep in mind that your children, in order to travel, also need passports. And children's passports do not last as long as adults. They're only good for 5 years. So pay attention to where you're at with your passports. And that's also one of the services that I provide. If my clients will provide me with their passport information, my system keeps track of when passports are due. So I am able to remind people that it is time to renew their passports. Another thing people may not know is that most countries require your passport to be good for 6 months after your scheduled date of return. So for instance, if you are, traveling in June and you are supposed to return from a country on the 30th of June, then your passport should be valid through December 30th of 2022. So 6 months. So that's another reason to pay attention, because if you like to travel a lot, you have to kind of figure out when you're going to have a window to send your passport off so you can get that renewed. Another thing that I suggest people take a look at, especially if they're traveling overseas frequently, is look at getting global entry. It really speeds your way through getting back into the country and going through immigration. It also comes with TSA PreCheck, which will enable you to have that when you're traveling here in the US. There is an interview process and fingerprints are required for it, but it really, it expedites things. And a lot of credit cards do provide a credit for getting global entry or getting TSA PreCheck. So you could get it for free if you have the right kind of credit card, because you'll get that credit back once you apply for it. So those are a couple of quick tips just for traveling. And then would you guys be interested in talking about what's trending in 2022?
Absolutely.
Definitely. I just want to share this while you were talking. I knew my passport was nearby. I looked before and it's still valid. I have my global entry, but you know what I think is interesting is the pictures. I don't look anything like this person. I don't know who that is.
And I just want to say, I love my global entry. My husband didn't do it. And it was like, I had to wait forever for him to get it. And so I think now he's going to get it. But yeah, global entry is definitely the way to go. And but
Absolutely.
I know that wonderful thing that you said about you automatically get the TSP PreCheck. What did you call that?
TSA PreCheck.
TSA, yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. Yeah,
But
so then it makes it easier to get around here in the States. So
yeah, it's great.
All right, let's go back.
So let's talk about what is currently trending in 2022. Well, because of the pandemic, and there's been a lot of terms that have been used to describe it. People are doing revenge travel or big bucket list travel. And they're upgrading because they've had 2 years that they haven't traveled, so they're treating themselves. So here are some of the things that they're treating themselves to. African safaris are trending. Visits to Asian destinations such as Indonesia and Thailand. Immersive experiences. So we're finding that people want to go on a particular trip, maybe only to 1 or 2 places, and just spend a lot of time there and really absorb the culture and really experience things instead of doing kind of a touch and go and visit 7 places in a week. So those immersive experiences are what people are looking for. Another hot area is luxury expedition cruises. Going to the Galapagos, going to Antarctica, going to Arctica, or to the Arctic, excuse me. Those have become really popular. Another thing is personal development retreats. So, this show is also about fitness things, and there are some great opportunities to do yoga retreats or hiking or wellness trips. We're seeing that a lot of the newer resorts that are being built in the Caribbean have this wellness and fitness component to them. So those are becoming very popular. All-inclusives remain popular. And as I mentioned, adventure hiking and adventure cycling are also two areas that are really trending this year.
Wonderful.
Wow, that's fabulous. I like the idea of a safari and a yoga retreat together. Is that possible? Because you have to pray you're not going to get attacked.
Yeah, it may be.
One of our team members here, Janetta Barry, she's in Africa, and she just went on a safari, which is amazing. And I think her son oversees some of the, what are they called? The areas that you visit when you're someone. Janetta, are you out there? Anyway, the point being, it sounds fascinating. And I know there's some safaris that you can go on that are really top shelf. They're, very exclusive. And also for the yoga retreats, I've always wanted to go on a yoga retreat. I know they have them in exotic places all around the world.
That is correct. And yes, so there are different types of reserves. I think that was the word that you were looking for.
Yes, there it is. Thank you.
There's different types of reserves. There are some that are national parks. And then there are some, as you mentioned, that are, are privately owned or, more exclusive or, controlled by the government because of the types of animals that are there. So there's absolutely different types of experiences that you can have depending on, which country you choose to go to, different animals, different types of experiences. Some of the accommodations out there are absolutely amazing. You wouldn't think that you were out, in a safari area because there are basically 5-star accommodations that are available. So, you can, that's the beauty of traveling today. You can travel, as a luxury client, and you can, travel as a moderate client and still get to see and experience, because it really is all about experience the same types of things. And again, that's where a travel advisor really comes in. And I work with my clients to figure out what type of experience they're looking for. And then I match them up with that type of experience.
That's incredible.
Diane, what kind of experiences do you like when you travel?
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I love that you do that, Sandy. It's so wonderful. Sandy, I've been on an African safari, but mine was kind of cool. We did humanitarian work, so I'm curious to see if you know something like this that still exists. We did our people from everywhere that you didn't know. We all wanted to do some humanitarian work, so we did our work. We were there for like a week, helped build a library in a remote area in Kenya. And then they took us to this a reserve. But this reserve, what we had is we each had our own tent, and it was like an amazing tent because it had a shower and a bathroom, and we had a guard outside. And then we had a 5-course meal at dinner, and then breakfast. I mean, everything was just like, how did they get this food out here? It was just amazing. And then the campfires and stuff. But we were so far out that we had to have a guard at each one, at each tent that stayed with you all night. outside, of course, because you were right there in the middle of where the lions and the tigers and so forth were. So it was really kind of cool. But I want to go on another safari. And so, because my husband has never been on one, and we were there basically 3 weeks. So I was curious. I love the whole idea of humanitarian work and then turning around and doing something great. And I'm sure there's listeners out there that would think that would be fun to do as well.
There are many opportunities like that. What I'm finding as I learn about our different tour operators and providers of travel is many of them have partnered with organizations that do just the kinds of things that Diann was talking about. A lot of our tour operators are about giving back to the communities that we're visiting. And I saw a presentation last week, that talked about how at one location that they actually built a school for the people that live there. They built a school, they fund the school, and that is how both their employees and every once in a while, some of their travelers, are able to give back by doing things to support those. I mean, they, oftentimes put out calls for school supplies and those kinds of things. So people who travel on this cruise line are able to bring those things along, and then they're able to, donate those. There's another organization that's called Tread Right, and a lot of the tour operators are connected with them, and they too are about the environment and giving back and working with the local people. Another company, they actually have a score that they rate each of their itineraries on in terms of contributing to the environment, meaning not taking things away from the environment, as well as the give back to the local communities. Many tour operators employ people from the local communities to provide the local excursions and those types of things. So that helps provide for the economy in those areas that people travel to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Diann, I just love it. If I said to someone, what did you do last month? Oh, I was watching Netflix and I was eating bonbons. Diann in Kenya doing humanitarian work. It's fantastic. And it's good to know that there are opportunities for people to get involved, because many people, as a result of the pandemic, are really focused on not only self-improvement, but helping other people. And right now there's so many people who need help.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing more and more in the presentations that I participate in that on escorted tours and those types of things, there are usually an option at least one stop on the trip where it gives people the opportunity to do just the kinds of things that Diann was talking about. So I just think that is how we make this world a better place, is, while we're exploring and learning about different places and, more importantly, different peoples, that we're giving back at the same time and helping those people and those communities really thrive.
That's super important.
And for those who want to stay stateside, there's so many incredible places here in the States. There's the Everglades, there's Mount Bunnell. Have you heard anything that's trending in our country alone? That's because I find our country beautiful. I love our country.
well, the national parks are still very big and very popular. And, we tend to focus on those national parks that are out west. But there's, as Diann mentioned, there's national parks everywhere. So there are, that's still very, very popular US trip. Another thing that is really popular right now is going to Disney World, going to Universal, both on the East Coast and out in California, because people haven't been able to do that for a couple of years. So there's a big rush to get back to doing those things. And Disney and Universal, have continued to follow CDC guidance, and they too are starting to roll back some of their restrictions, which makes it a little bit easier, to do some of the things at those parks. So those are another area that I think is really big this year. The other thing is people just want to go to the beach. And yes. So if there's, so I expect that the beaches along the East Coast and in Florida, will continue to be busy through the summer. And there's some really interesting resorts in Florida, as well as in California. So there are lots of things to do. If you don't feel like leaving the US, you absolutely don't have to, because you can find pretty much everything that you want to do. Another thing that is that's are in the top 5 things. Okay, so I looked at a list. I shouldn't say it's top 5. I grabbed a couple of things that I thought were interesting for the top list of 50 things to do, because you can find, if you look on the internet, you can find 20 different lists of the top things to do. So I took one and I grabbed some things that I thought that our listeners would find really interesting. And we've already talked about exploring out west and the national parks, but dude ranches are also a popular thing to do this year here in the U.S. As I mentioned, going to the beach. And so there's plenty of beaches and Florida and California, vacations to be had. The Outer Banks, where I live, I don't live in the Outer Banks, but it's near me. That's a very popular area. Virginia Beach, Ocean City, all the way up the East Coast. There are lots of beaches for people to explore. The other places people are interested in going to is to go to the beach, is to the Caribbean, to Costa Rica, to Mexico. And that kind of falls in with, there are lots of all-inclusives to choose from adults only to family friendly. So those are quite popular. 2 countries that continue to be really popular in 2022 are Croatia and Iceland. And I personally have booked some people to Iceland in the last year. And I have several people that are going to be going to Croatia and that area over the coming months. We talked about safaris. Those are very popular. And then going to interesting places such as the Galapagos, going to the Maldives, going to Tahiti. All those things are really hot. And I'd really like to go to Tahiti. Does anybody out there want to go with me?
Sure.
Yeah. Woo! I have to comment, Sandy. That was very thorough. I'm right in the heart of where people go for spring break. I'm down here in Florida and it's packed. So this is a great destination, especially for spring breakers. Fort Lauderdale, Delray Beach, Miami Beach, South Beach. I'm behind this with no beach. So.
And I just want to say, people should contact you about Croatia. I've been. It's beautiful. It's incredible. The people, I love them. But I also have another question for you. I'm so glad you mentioned I never know how to say that word, Galapagos. Did I say that wrong?
You did, and my picture is of the Galapagos. So
I was thinking,
beautiful.
Is if people sign up for like your newsletter or blog, will they get information? Like, let's say people are bird watchers. When's the best time to go here? And let me know. I can book you an opportunity, or you want to see the turtles come and lay their eggs. if they can follow you and learn these things?
So yes, I put stuff out on my social media about those types of things. And if people are interested in going to the Galapagos, there's several different ways to do it. And I would love to talk to them so we could figure out which way is the best way for them to experience the Galapagos.
Yeah. And the best times and so forth.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because I know in Texas, as anywhere in the States, there is certain times to be able to see certain birds. They come and they nest at a certain area. And anyway, it's exciting to watch them when you see them all at once.
No, you're absolutely right. And we are working with one of our clients, and she and her mom wanted to do a trip to Alaska. And she is all about seeing bears.
Oh.
It's so, we found the good time to see bears, and we found her a couple of excursions so that she could do that. So that's absolutely the types of things, Diane, that you're pointing out that travel advisors can help with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what makes it fun. And I mean, they're both so excited about going on this trip because they're going to get to see their bears. So
I love it. Everyone has things that they're passionate about, right?
So I wanted to touch on one other area, and that's about river cruising.
Oh yes.
And what I really like about river cruising is that it really gives you the opportunity to see several places in one trip, but not be rushed about it. Unlike an ocean cruise, when you do a river cruise and you stop at a particular location, you're generally in the central area. So for instance, if you're doing a river cruise that's going to Vienna, you're docking right near the city center. The same thing with Amsterdam. You're docking right there at the city center. So you're getting off these ships and you're able to immediately start exploring. And so it's relaxing. Everything's taken care of. It's an all-inclusive product in that your meals are taken care of. Your accommodations are taken care of. The ship floats down the river and it takes you to the different places that you're visiting. So there's absolutely no planning required on your part. And then there's opportunities both pre-cruise and post-cruise to explore those areas either at the beginning or at the end. So I have some clients that are doing a river cruise on the Danube, and they're going to do a pre-cruise. So they'll be spending some time in Budapest. And then at the end of the cruise, they'll go spend a couple of days in Nuremberg. So it's really a nice opportunity to explore not only Europe, but there's river cruises in Asia as well. And I did want to mention that we are going to be hosting a virtual event on April the 19th. And it is going to be hosted by Viking Cruises, and everything you want to know about Viking, which is a very popular river cruise line. And when we do these virtual events, there is a offer that follows it. And so you'll get an opportunity to book an amazing cruise on Viking. So April 19th, you can get more information about it by going to my website, which is escapesandgetaways.com. And also follow me on social media, because you'll be able to see some postings about it as well. So that's on April the 19th. I'm very excited about it because people want to know more about river cruising and they want to know more about Viking.
And Sandy, we do have your slide here. Why is it a travel advisor? Do you want to just review that quickly before we sign off?
Sure, absolutely. So number one is that by using me or using a travel advisor, it reduces your stress in travel planning. I have a conversation with you. I find out what you're interested in, where you want to go, how you want to go. And then I put together a couple of proposals and I customize the vacation based on what you want to do and what your budget is. As I had mentioned earlier, I do have access to exclusive pricing, exclusive offers. And so if you're a little bit flexible, sometimes I'm able to match you up with a great deal. A travel agent, as your travel agent, I'm your single point of contact, both before you travel, while you're traveling, and when you get home. Just give me a call. And, if there's any issues, I'm here to advocate and take care of those things for you. And especially today, we're coming out of a pandemic and there are still lots of rules out there. And each country has their own requirements. Each ship has their own requirements. Oftentimes, each venue has their own requirements. And I'm the person that helps you navigate all of those so that you can just have a stress-free vacation. Because isn't that what vacations are all about?
Yes. Woo, for sure, Sandy.
Yeah, absolutely. You hate it when you come back home from vacation, you say, oh, I need a vacation from my vacation.
I can't actually say that right now. Sorry.
Before Dr. Jacalyn brings us to a close, I have one more question. Is it possible to be like Mark Twain and go up or down the Mississippi?
Absolutely. There are several cruise lines that do it. First and foremost is Viking is coming to the Mississippi. So people are very excited who are Viking loyalists to be able to do that. Then there is, and there's some American Cruise Lines as well. American Cruise Lines, ACL, is one. Another one is the American Queen Steamboat is another. And then there's Victory Cruises that I believe does the Mississippi as well as the Great Lakes.
That's amazing.
Lots of choices there.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I do want to say that
there's those cruises down.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, they stick to kind of the wider areas, but I also wanted to point out that that the river cruises, so Viking will be doing the Mississippi, but some of those other lines that I mentioned do some of the other rivers, particularly out west. They do the Snake River and the Columbia River out there as well. So there's opportunities to do that. And then they also do some sailing up along the East Coast.
Wow.
Who knew?
Yeah, you can do a cruise that talks about the American Revolution and the Civil War. And it cruises up the East Coast and it visits those places that were key places for those two wars.
Wow, that is so clever. It's a very niche thing, and there's so many historians, right? Mm-hmm. Love that. Amazing. Can I get paid for traveling? Hello.
No, but you have an opportunity to win a free 7-night cruise on Avalon Waterways, which is a river cruise line, by simply going to my website or getting my magazine and scanning the QR code, and you can register to win. So that's almost like getting paid to travel, isn't it, Dianne?
I'm so there. How about everybody listening? Let's all get on that side and register.
Oh, Sandy, I love having you on. It's just so inspirational, just traveling, thinking about the experience, that what it's going to be. And you said that at the beginning, you really help create and facilitate experiences for people. And that is just so important.
Absolutely. It's all about building memories.
And you're going to come back and see us soon, right?
Absolutely. I'm going to come back next month and give an update and some other fun things. And then I'll talk about my upcoming trip. So we'll talk about that next month. So I'll just throw that little teaser out there.
All right, and I'll put up your contact information once again. So please do reach out to Sandy. You can get her lots of ways. You can call her and she will answer the phone, people. What about that? Area code 571-297-7676. You can get her through her website, which is escapesandgetaways.com. You can also email her. Her email is Sandy, SANDY.ADAMS, ADAMS, @cruiseplanners.com. And she has a digital magazine. Guess what it is? escapesandgetaways.com/magazine.
That's incredible. I don't know when you have time to travel and do a magazine. That's amazing.
It's certainly exciting.
Very exciting.
Thank you, Sandy, for being here, for bringing all these incredible tips to help us be safe when we're traveling and to show us that there is just a plethora of choices for anyone and everyone.
Well, I love having these conversations with you guys. It gets me all excited about getting out there and traveling and trying to get my friends like the two of you to go along.
We're working on it. I talked to Diane yesterday about doing something for maybe 3 weeks. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks. You too. Bye, Sandy.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, I just love when Sandy comes here and just fills our program with hope and inspiration.
Absolutely. And it's always so exciting. Like, I'm like, oh, I thought I was so excited that I wasn't going to be doing any traveling. I'm just going to enjoy the house. But now she has me ramped up to want to go see more. There's so much to see in the world.
There sure is.
That's right.
And you've had so many incredible experiences, Diane. You really have. You should write a book about that.
Oh, I feel very blessed. But I also am so grateful. She talked about, just relaxing and enjoying the beach. Alabama has beautiful beaches. Their Orange Beach is just so beautiful. And I mentioned that because it's a real easy drive. It's just halfway. You and I can meet halfway at Orange Beach.
That's my kind of vacation. I like, first of all, the whole vacation has to be around fitness. That's it. What does the gym look like? What kind of yoga do they like? I have to know all of that. And then I have to be able to work out every day because I'm crazy. And then I like to just do nothing, but I don't want to do any touring. I don't want to do any talking. I just want to relax and decompress on a beach with a nice drink with an umbrella and an umbrella.
And I'm all about where are we going next?
See, if you and I went on vacation, I'd have to be at the 5-star resort outside hanging out at the pool, and you could be coming back and giving me stories. Oh, I did this.
Flittering around like a butterfly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Diane, before we close out, I want you to tell people about your new projects that are coming soon and also how people can get in touch with you.
Sure, I'll be happy to. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to our show. We just love having it. Sandy, you were amazing as always. And I have 2 books that'll be coming out. The dates are still to be determined, but for sure by fall. I'm so excited because the illustrators are finishing up one of them, and that's Charlie and the Tire Swing. And it'll eventually become Charlie and the Tire Swing Adventures. And then I have a book that the illustrator finished everything, and she's incredible. Her name's Nancy Hoover. She's a famous artist here in Austin, Texas. And that book is all about A Time to Fly. And it's really special and dear to my heart. So I'm very, very excited. In the meantime, Dr. Jacalyn, I am busy writing even more stories and researching on another young adult historical fiction. So never a dull moment at my home.
Of course you are, Diane. Of course you are. I'm just so appreciative.
I'm sorry. And I took up sewing because, I have nothing else to do in my spare time.
Are you sewing in your sleep, Diane? Are you at the machine like a zombie sewing?
I love this new sewing machine because it's all computerized and an embroidery. So I just push this button and it just does it all.
I saw your first project. That was pretty cool.
Isn't that cool?
Your embroidery, yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot to learn still. Oh, and I can tell you one more thing that I'm very excited. It just happened yesterday, so it's a new announcement. I'm going to be teaching English via Zoom to some children in Vietnam. So I'm very excited about that.
Wow, that is so cool, Diane.
Yeah, so I'm really honored that people call. Oh, and Dr. JACALYN,
Wait, there's more.
you're part of it, because you know what? I had met this woman on where it was one of those trips where you go and you personally grow, and it was all about branding. And we talked every once in a while on Facebook, but she started following you on USA Global TV. And she's like, wait, I know that girl. And so because of you and your show, she realized that she could put together a group. She's in Singapore, but she put together with a friend in Vietnam, and they're going to start this club to help kids improve in English. And it's all because they watched USA Global TV.
Wow, that brings little tears to my eyes, Diane. That's fantastic.
So it's not about me. It's about what you're doing.
Oh, it's what we're all doing. It's what we're all doing here. So what a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on YouTube, or you can actually contact me via email or my website. So that's all Diane and I have for today. And we will be back, USA Global TV, at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with The Business Talk Show. So thanks again for being here. Thanks, Sandy. Thank you, Diane. And thanks to all of you out there watching and listening.
That's right. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.